Brown 45. Brown 45. Hot, 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 hot.
It's another week of Ball and Chain, ladies and gentlemen. We're here. We're back in the studio. A lot of switch-ups, a couple big trades throughout week 7, some upsets, some disappointing performances, and some real new shining stars out there on the field. Brian, where do you want to start? Kick us off.
Where we always start. We're going to start right at the headlines. My favorite part of the day. And when I open the paper and I see in the Tuesday paper, I see at the top, Teton Tingler's terrible tight end timing. Terrible. What is Darren Waller doing? On a night.
He's putting up points. That's what he's doing.
He is, but on a night where Deshaun Watson, Calvin Ridley, and I believe Bijan Robinson give you 0 points combined, he comes out and says, You know what, Cooper? Let me give you a huge point total just to put you at 69 for the week and give you a beer pour as a wedding present.
Big old headline there at the top. A classic early 2000s song, I believe, maybe late 90s. Who let the dogs out? Because they never mentally checked in week 7.
Oh my God.
Devontae Smith continuing a poor run of form behind AJ's Brown, just stoking up the targets. Austin Eckler, less than 6 points. Brock not able to get it done in prime time against Kirk on Monday night. The Florida man, though, getting it done, beating the dogs with Russ at QB no less. Tyrod Taylor showed out, but that last-minute trade from Fields to Russell Wilson got the job done.
That brings me kind of into my next point there. I know it's a little niche, but I have to speak on it. My headline is Tyler Ass. That guy sucks. Gave me 4 points over the course of 3 of the last weeks and lost me the matchup to LeBron's third leg. Can't make one field goal? Dude, you projected 8 points per week. This guy sucks. He's been on the waivers. Don't go pick him up.
Brian, we celebrated a holiday this past weekend.
That's
you're aware.
I'm not.
A headline, top 10 tightest ends.
Ooh.
This past Sunday was National Tight End Day, and they showed out.
Absolutely.
Dallas Goedert, 18 points. TJ Hawkinson, 20 points. Mark Andrews, 22. Darren Waller, 23. And Travis Kelce with a 36-piece.
Wild.
I'd like to give a special shout-out to LeBron. I don't know if, not LeBron's third leg, but LeBron himself. I don't know if you saw this video.
James?
I don't know if you saw this video online. He has a video where he says, Happy National Tight End Day to all my tight ends out there.
Happy Tight End Day.
Very clearly just reading top 10 tight ends off Google.
Shout out all my tight ends out there, man.
He goes,
scrolling through ESPN.
George Kittle, yeah, he's a good one.
Beautiful thing, Travis Kelce, George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson. That's just to name a few.
It's,
Dawson
that's just
Knox,
what LeBron
to name
does.
a few. Yeah. No, I saw. I'm going to throw some names at you. And you're going to see maybe if any of these ring a bell, maybe if they have a pattern here.
Please.
Panzer 4, M4 Sherman, Leopard 2. Do you know what these are?
Are these gamer tags?
No, they're tanks, Cooper. They're tanks. And they classify the Silly Willies as a team.
Goodness.
Latavius Murray, 4.8. Cole Kmet, 0. The Bills D, 1 point. Aaron Jones, 8.7.
I don't get it.
Any other manager, they're dead in the water. Any other manager, they're dead in the water. Those 3 tanks that I mentioned, Lamar Jackson, AJ Brown, and Tyreek Hill, go out there and just fill up the stat sheet. And the Silly Willies get the win.
Brian, we're a little over halfway through the season. You brought up a controversial coaching metric last week.
I don't know about that.
Really some beautiful arithmetic in that one. So I decided to put together some stats myself, looking at a couple of different things that I see are also very key metrics and components of a team to look at. I want to talk about depth of team, bench points. Starting there, If you combine all of the bench points across the season thus far, here's how the teams shake out. I'm going to give you the bottom three and the top three. We'll show the full list maybe in post.
Of course. We will.
The shallowest team, according to the league, and this will surprise you, LeBron's third leg.
Is that so?
A total of 109 bench points 7 weeks into the season.
Wow, that's shocking. Very shocking.
Following them up, LA Ligma FC. A lot of injuries on that bench. Justin Jefferson, A-Chain. Third from the bottom is the Florida Man. Big bump up to 187 bench points.
Interesting.
All solid there. Looking at the top, please.
These are all through week 6?
These are through week 7, so into week 8.
Through week 7.
Yes. Current stats.
Of course.
The third most bench points on the season. Chief Padawana with 291.
Oh, wow.
Taking it a step above that, in fact, Kirkland's signature, 314.
Man, I don't know what's up with that guy. I don't know what to think of that team.
And then,
in fact,
go ahead, please.
Nope. I'll tell you about that next week.
Sitting up at the top of bench points in the league thus far is your very own Teton Tinglers with 318 points.
You've got some pretty good wide receivers on the bench there, just swapping them out.
Yeah, to call out just a few of the highlights and lowlights throughout the season thus far, the most points a bench has scored come from Waddlehouse in week 2 with 77. This was Christian Kirk, Jackson Smith-Njigba, DeAndre Swift, and Jaden Reed combining for nearly 80 points on the bench.
Oh, DeAndre Swift was on the bench that week.
He was on the bench.
Oh my goodness. He'd love to have that one back.
Looking across the weeks, actually week 4 was the deepest week in the league thus far. Total benches across the league combined for 526 points. That's a lot of points sitting on the bench.
That's a lot of points sitting on the bench.
Compare that to week 7, which was Bimageddon for many teams. We had a total of 216 points across the benches. So
low.
Massive swings throughout the season.
Bet you the Silly Willies would still have beaten that team somehow.
They would have. Now, Brian, I can hear the chatter from the peanut gallery already. What about taco moves? What about misplays? What about sit-in players that score massive points?
Yep.
And so what I've done is also calculated the missed points every week. If you played your ideal lineup versus what you played, how many more points would you have scored? You're going to see some similar trends in the tops of the charts for those that have high bench points, like the Tinglers, and missed points on the season.
Yep, that makes sense.
We talked about LeBron's third leg having the least bench points. They've also been the most efficient. Only 44 missed points on the season.
Damn, he's really been picking them. That's a great coaching stat.
That's a lean squad right there.
That is a lean squad.
Compare that to Kirkland's signature, who had a total of 317 bench points on the season. 139 of those should have been played.
And he's still only got 2 losses?
He's still 5-2. That's a deep squad through and through.
Very interesting. Okay.
Florida Man had a really rough start. The first 3 weeks totaled nearly 60 missed points on the bench. All of those coming from him sitting Sam Laporta for Dallas Goedert. One other I'd like to call out. Brian, you had 2 missed points in week 5. That was because you played the Commanders defense over the Dallas defense, who scored -5 and -3 respectively.
Appreciate the shout out. Appreciate the Dallas Cowboys shout out there. Love it.
So just to wrap this up, if we look at perfect games, meaning when a bench missed points were 0, I will say this includes weeks in which the bench as a whole scored 0. There were 2 instances of that. That was LA Ligma FC in week 6 and myself this past week in week 7.
Okay.
The New York TikTok guys in Kirkland signature have yet to have a perfect game this season where there's no missed points sitting on the bench.
Okay.
Half of the league, 1 perfect game. I think that's pretty reasonable for where we're at in the season.
That's about right.
LA Ligma FC, the Florida Man, and myself, the Teton Tinglers, all have 2 perfect games. And then the Silly Willies have 4 perfect games on the season.
Are you serious? Even with all those bench points, he's got 4 perfect games?
I don't know what to tell you.
He man, he is coming out with a vengeance this year. An absolute vengeance. That's absurd.
It is absurd. So what I've done, taken all of these stats, put them together in what I'm calling an efficiency rating. This is
rating.
1 minus missed points divided by bench points.
Man, okay.
So
That's
think
more
if
simple
you,
than mine. Yeah.
it is. It's more logical than yours if we're being
All
frank
right.
here.
We're back in the lab with that formula. You'll see it again later on in the season.
Right. So if a team has 10 points on the bench, they miss 1 point, they could have gotten an extra point. They then get a 90% efficiency rating, right? 1 minus missed points divided by bench points.
Right.
On the season thus far, sitting at the bottom of the efficiency rating, some might say managers that have misplayed their teams. Sitting at a 51%, meaning they have missed nearly half the points they could have scored from their bench throughout the season.
Oh my.
We have LA Ligma FC sitting in dead last.
It's tough. That's really tough. Okay.
Moving up the ranks, not far ahead, the MIC Child Killers with a 53% efficiency rating.
That sounds about right.
One higher, again, a team that we have talked about, their record does not necessarily reflect the squad. Granted, they've made some interesting trades this week. Is again Kirkland Signature with a 56.
Wow. All right.
Coming up the tables, the Teton Tinglers 57. So not a lot separating those teams there at the bottom. Right above myself is LeBron's third leg at 59. Again, I think that one's a little bit of a red herring because it is such a lean and efficient squad that any of those missed points, given how low the bench points are, is going to drastically skew the efficiency rating.
All right.
Continuing up almost to the top half, we have the Florida Man at 62%.
Okay. Almost to the top half. He's 6 in mine. He's 6 on yours. I mean, what are you going to say?
Well, he's 7th on this one. In that 6th spot is the Bikini Bottom Goobers, actually tied with Waddle House at 66%.
Oh, okay.
We have quite a few ties, and I'll actually bring some decimal points out so we can see these even closer.
Nice.
At 72.1%. Phenomenal rating, phenomenal efficiency. Chief Padawan.
Oh, the Chief. Man, he's just been unlucky then with his players that he started.
He has.
Wow.
Not just a hair above them at 72.4 is the Silly Willies. So despite the bench depth, despite the 4 perfect games and the good management, not the most efficient manager in the league thus far.
Wow. That's shocking to hear.
There's 2 teams left. 2 that find themselves at very different points in their season. Very different records on the scorecard. In second for efficiency at 79.7 is Devontae's Dogs.
Oh, that's all right. That's still pretty good. I'll take that.
I will say this does not just go for you, but it's most blatant with your team. Having 2 or 3 quarterbacks on the roster does skew your efficiency score higher, right? Because you're missing more points. Your bench is scoring more points, but you're not missing those because both the quarterbacks are scoring a lot of points.
I see. I imagine it's helping that Daniel Jones just was a complete bum and he never got to play.
Right.
Okay.
Dak Prescott was on your roster a little bit earlier this season. But Brian, the shock of the league, sitting at the number 1 spot for efficiency is the New York TikTok guy at 79.8%.
What? That's shocking.
He's been efficient with the players he has. There's not a lot there to be efficient with, but he's making do with what he has.
I think, I mean, what is he pulling from? Hell, he's had OBJ on his bench all year. Why is he still on the roster? You got to take him off. He's got the Jets D, I believe. He's been switching the Ds. Interesting metric there.
Thank you. If we factor in these missed points to our net total possible points for, we see a switch, and I think this reflects the rest of season strength of these teams, right? Managers get better. Managers make moves. They adapt.
They do.
If we make these adjustments, sitting at the bottom of the charts now is, in fact, Chief Padawana, only able to score 807 points on his best day if he played perfectly all season.
Wow. Okay.
Moving up, LA Ligma, MIC, the Tinglers, the New York TikTok guys, Waddle House, Florida man. Devontae's dogs actually dropped to 5th in this metric.
I don't like that.
Given the bench points.
Okay.
Right above them, LeBron's third leg. Kirkland's signature coming up in 3rd now with 934 points.
He's all over.
The Bikini Bottom Goobers, 947.8.
Uh-huh.
Which, if you'll notice, even if every team in the league played perfectly and the Silly Willies played as they have thus far, they would still be outscoring the league by about 25 points.
Goodness, it's almost demoralizing to hear these numbers.
It is.
Do any of us have any chance?
If the Silly Willies played perfectly, they would be 97 points ahead of second place with 1,044.
Good Lord. Good Lord.
This was not meant to just be a shrine to the Silly Willies, but the stats don't lie. That team's good.
The stats don't lie. They show up on this show every week with some astounding new stat that we've come up with.
Not the most efficient league. Not the most efficient team in the league. That they can't hang their hats on. So a win for the TikTok guys.
I suppose. If there can be any.
Every week you take a gamble with who you play, who you sit.
You do.
Case in point, Calvin Ridley started for the Tinglers this week. Put up a whopping 1.5 points. Bijan started this week, put up a whopping 0.3. Like I said, my beer pour could not come through with his flu game.
Could not.
So we're going to move on to Boof or Boom.
Boof or Boom. Let's go. It's back.
Brian, which side of this coin do you want to start on?
I think I'd like to start on the Boof side, if I'm being completely honest. I'm on a 3-game losing streak, and I'm feeling awfully hateful this evening. So, that being said, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to say my Boof player is going to be Josh Allen. Josh Allen this week. Every once in a while, he comes out and he drops an absolute 3-interception stinker game. I think it's coming this week against Tampa Bay. They got a decent defense. I think he's just going to be slinging it downfield to Gabe Davis. He's going to have about 1 catch for like 2 yards again. Logan better get him off his lineup. And I think Josh Allen's probably going to get him about, 10, 11 points, where he usually gets about 24. And I think that's going to cause LeBron's third leg to actually drop this week to the TikTok guy.
Wow. Calling a big upset here. I'll put a couple fours on that.
I'll put 2 on that right now, even though I probably shouldn't.
Yeah, Josh Allen coming into the half in week 7 had, I want to say, 6 points, and then just pulled a rabbit out of his hat in the second half to walk away somewhere in the mid-20s. So I certainly see the rationale there.
He did.
My Boof player this week is one that was actually involved in a trade between the MIC Child Killers and Kirkland's signature.
Wow, a shocking trade, by the way.
A shocking trade. I think Matt was the beneficiary of that trade, contrary to popular belief. That being said, my Boof of the week is Courtland Sutton.
Okay.
Going back up against the Chiefs after only a week off. They played in week 6. He put up 15 points. Granted, that came off of only 4 receptions, 46 yards. Getting the touchdown catch there really saved his week. They're playing in Denver this weekend on my wedding day. I don't very possibly in the snow.
In the snow.
So
I
don't.
Boots on the ground. We'll tell the viewers what it looks like over there. It's not going to be good.
I do not think Cortland's getting it done this week. I don't see him scoring more than 10 points. Believe it or not, the person who you just dropped to the waivers, Jerry Jeudy, I think is going to show out. He's tired of the haters. He's tired of being just a guy. I think he's putting up 20, and I'm picking him up this week.
Absolutely not. Listen, he's being phased out of the offense. If you watched any of those Broncos games, that guy fucking sucks. Put me out there. I'm sorry. But he's absolutely terrible. I'm sick of waiting for him to break out. It was time to move on. That being said, maybe on a more positive note, my booming player is also a guy that was on the waiver wires not too long ago. And that player is Josh Downs. Josh Downs for LA Ligma FC. He was on my roster, had to drop him. Logan went out there, picked him up, dropped a 20-plus point game after getting 13 and I believe somewhere around there the weeks prior. Cooper, dare I say he's the new number 1 in Indianapolis over Michael Pittman Jr.?
You don't dare.
I
You
think
don't.
I do dare. I think I do. He only caught 2 balls, One of them was like a 70-yard bomb, but like, that's Gabe Davis production. You better be careful. You better be careful with him. I think Josh Allen, he's in the slot. He's going to get a lot of those targets. I think he's going to have a great week, and I think he's going to be great for LA Ligma FC.
No, Brian, we've been accused of being biased on this show before.
Unfounded, by the way.
Unfounded largely on my part. Yours, I think there's some room for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I am going to
okay.
reach into my slightly biased bag a little bit for my boom of the week.
The irony is shocking.
Bijan Robinson is putting up 20 points this week.
He's
no
booming.
ifs, ands, or buts about it. The hatred in his eyes sitting on the bench, watching Tyler Algier and Cordell Patterson take those carries, take the receptions. Look, the Atlanta Falcons coaching staff is incompetent. Horrible. I think Bijan's putting the team on his back in week 8, scoring at least 20. The reason I feel that I can say this with some level of objectivity is because it's not just me that sees the value in him. I have had multiple managers approach me this week, yourself included, to try and take him off of my roster and pick him up for the rest of the season. So you see something too.
Just inquiring? There's nothing wrong with inquiring about him.
Just inquiring. You said he's worth Austin Eckler.
He's worth less than Austin Eckler. What are you talking about? It's Austin Eckler, for God's sake. You know what? I'm willing to put 2 more cores that Austin Eckler does better than Bijan this week.
Brian, I will put a shot at my wedding on that, assuming they play before Sunday night.
They don't. Austin Eckler plays at 8:20. That being said,
that will be middle of the day. That'll be middle of the dance floor.
Yeah, I will absolutely take that.
All right.
Easy. That's easy money. Cash that in.
Let us know. Would you rather have Bijan or Eckler on your team?
It's quite obvious to me. It's extremely obvious.
What was Eckler's excuse for scoring less than 6 points this past week?
He didn't feel like it. He didn't feel like it.
Let's move on to something neither of us are actively involved in. Look at our matchup of the week. Brian, who do we have here for week 8?
Matchup of the week, we have the Bikini Bottom Goobers and Kirkland Signature. 2 managers that are 5-2. Very interesting points in the season. The Goobers just put up about 150 after the trade. They said, "Who needs you, Alvin Kamara? I'm just fine without you." And then after Kirkland Signature just dropped a game, I believe. So 2 managers at very different points. Cooper, what do you see in this one?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, you kind of mentioned it, is the momentum these 2 managers have. Chris coming in with a 3-game win streak, really solid points and performances in each of those. Matt coming off of a loss to the top dog in the Silly Willies. I mean, I think he kind of penciled that one in as an L, but nevertheless, looking at the rosters, the quarterback game is going to be crucial here. Kirk Cousins beat the allegations last week, showing up in prime time on Monday night against the 49ers.
You'll have to see it for Kirk.
Meanwhile, we've got Joe Burrow for the Bikini Bottom Goobers coming off a bye week, coming off a incredibly variable season thus far. Scoring single digits for most of the year, putting up 20 bombs, 30 bombs.
Who knows? Who knows what you're going to get out of him?
Jahmyr Gibbs is now a RB1, at least while David Montgomery's out. He managed to put up nearly 30 points despite the just landslide of a loss to the Ravens in week 7.
Yeah. You'll be there.
Let's take a step back before I get into your points, the keys of the game. Tell me what you thought about the trade between MIC Child Killers and Kirkland Signature. So that was the Clementine and Cortland Sutton going to MIC in exchange for Mike Evans and Jahmyr Gibbs.
In the short term, Kirkland Signature wins the trade in the short term. Just because Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get a workload. Mike Evans is nice. Mike Evans is better than Cortland Sutton. Sure. But in the long term, for a team with championship aspirations such as Kirkland's Signature, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? You're giving up Travis Etienne, a guy that scored 6 touchdowns over the past 3 games. He's had 2 in each. If you're going for a championship, you can't give him up for Jahmyr Gibbs, who's going to be replaced in a few weeks. I just don't see it. Frankly, I think it's a boneheaded move. Yeah, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have a huge week this week. Kirk Cousins, boy, that boy's running hot, and Derrick Henry's still in the flex. I wonder if he's going to do that. He's okay. Joe Burrow against San Francisco. Don't love that matchup. Tony Pollard might pop off. Stephon Diggs does what he does. And Amon-Ra versus Las Vegas is going to get about 25-plus points. So I like
Easily.
that. My score in this one, I'm really feeling a high-scoring affair in this one. I usually haven't predicted these. Such as, but I'm going to go with 130 Kirkland Signature, 134.
Wow. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
For our listeners out there, the current projected score is 130 to 122 in favor of the Goobers.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit of an upset there. A marginal one. The line's at about 8 points right now. I think this one's going to be a bit of a slugfest, but there's going to be a superstar that doesn't come to play. And I got to tell you, I think it's going to be Raheem Mostert against the New England defense. Jeff Wilson is back.
Mm-hmm.
New England was able to beat the Bills. They've got an incredible defense despite their O-line being that of a middle school football team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think Raheem Mostert puts up not a goose egg, but something close to it.
Something close. Goose egg adjacent? Oh, my.
Goose egg adjacent. Not 2 digits, I'll tell you that much.
Oh my goodness.
I think Kirkland's, pardon my French, shit in the bed a little bit this week.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
Final score, 138 to 104.
What? That's a blowout. That's an absolute blowout. Wow.
Matt's going to be sipping Jack and Cokes at the wedding reception, just flipping players in his lineup. I don't think he's got it in him this week.
Oh no, Raheem Mostert blew out his left ass cheek. Yeah, it's not gonna be good.
Well, Brian, I think that's the end of our formal episode for this week. Do you have a bit of a bonus segment for us?
Of course I got a bonus segment. Who tunes into Ball and Chain and doesn't expect a bonus segment? There's one here every week. All right, Cooper. Here's the bonus segment. You've got 3 lives. You got that?
I have 3 lives. Okay.
You have 3 lives. I'm going to ask you a series of questions.
Oh, no.
8 in total. If you need to get them all right without running out of lives to win this game. All right?
Do I have a grace life? Like, do I lose my 3 and then I have 1 more, or is it when I lose my last, I'm done?
It's when you lose your last life, you're done. Haven't you played a video game ever in your life?
Have you ever played Tunk?
We're going to cut that from the video.
Tunk 31, Midwest card game. You got the little pennies that are your lives, and then you have grace.
There's no explanation needed on Tunk. No explanation needed.
Do you not know what Tunk is?
We're going to get right into the game here. Cooper, question number 1. Who is the number 1 fantasy player on the season?
Across all positions, including quarterbacks?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts? What the hell are you talking about? We're not going to get through any of these questions. That's like the easiest one on this list. It's Tyreek Hill.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Goodness gracious. I might have to give you a gracious period. Next up. Who is the number 2 running back on the year? I'll let you know. Christian McCaffrey's number 1. Who's number 2?
Christian McCaffrey behind
Who's had some
him?
big games?
Oh, man. Not Tony Pollard. A-Chain was up there, but it hasn't played a couple of weeks.
A-Chain was up there.
Not Saquon going through first rounders. It's not Eckler. It's not Bijan, certainly. It's not Derrick Henry. It's not Saquon. Who do we have up in the number 2 spot? Give me a hint.
Give me a hint. I did with A-Chain.
What did you say about A-Chain?
I said A-Chain was up there.
Is
Any
it
reason
Raheem
for him to be
Mostert?
up there? Hmm?
Is it Raheem Mostert?
It is Raheem Mostert. Good job. He's had some huge games. He had, I believe, a 40-point game there when the 70-point explosion happened. Perfect. Next up, within, we'll say 7 points either way. How many fantasy points does Darren Waller have on the season?
We've played 7 games. He's put up a couple duds. He's probably averaged like 13, feels right. So that's 121. I'm gonna bump him up a. I don't know what that face was,
I don't know
but
what you're
he's
talking about.
I'm gonna go 111.
Holy shit, he's not that good, Cooper. He's put up 79 points.
What?
79. It's 79 total points on the season for Darren Waller.
He has had some duds, hasn't he?
All right, you're down to 1 life.
Bless my grace.
Maybe the grace, yeah. All right. Who in the whole league has the least amount of points for?
Actual points for?
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at him.
Correct. It's the Taylor with
699, not even topping 700.
Absolutely. He stays alive. Next up, Cooper. Do you know who has the longest active winning or losing streak in the league?
Would that be... Chris has a 3-game win streak.
Mm.
Did John drop recently? LeBron's third leg is sitting at 6-1.
They are.
And they lost in week 2? Week 3? I'm gonna go with LeBron's third leg.
Correct. Great job using your intuition there. They have a 5-game winning streak. The best of anybody. Next up. Let me see here. Who is your leading fantasy player currently on your roster or currently on you're playing right now? Who's got the most points?
None of them.
You know what? Correct answer. It's Michael Pittman, but I'll be taking that.
All right.
No shot. You're getting Michael Pittman.
I might have gotten Michael Pittman.
With 1 life, I'm not risking it. That being said, who is the MIC Child Killers' leading fantasy player?
It's not Nick Chubb.
It's not Nick Chubb.
Not Saquon.
That one hurts.
It's neither of his first 2-round picks. I know that much.
Absolutely correct.
Sorry, did we say we are including quarterbacks? It's not even with quarterback. It's got to be DJ Moore with his 50 bomb.
Correct. It's DJ Moore. Look at that. Bing, 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 bing. You love to see it. Now, Cooper, who has the most points against in the whole league?
I know it was JD for quite some time. Logan was up there as well. I haven't looked more recently. I'm going to stick with... no. Is it the Silly Willies?
No, it's not the Silly Willies. It's Logan. Most points against with 900 and I believe 98 or 89 or whatever, something like that.
Wow.
An exorbitant amount of points. Cooper, looks like you're out of lives, but you've got a grace. You got a grace period. You got a grace life. Look at that. Get excited. Wow. I cannot believe it. Next up, Cooper.
How many questions are left that I have a grace life for?
You need to get 3 more right.
I can do that.
You know what? Here's another grace. You need to get 2 more right.
Give me 3.
I don't have a third. We're going to move on. Cooper, what's your divisional record?
My divisional record? I don't think it's above 500. How many divisional games have I played? Can you tell me that?
You've played 3 divisional games. Here, hang on. You've played 3 to get divisional games, and I'll tell you who they were against.
No, I beat Jimmy. It's 1 and 2.
No, it's not 1 and 2. It's 2 and 1.
I'm 2-1 in the division.
You're 2 and 1 in the
Bring the divisions back. Make
You're
them matter.
2 and 1 in the West. Yes. You are 2 and 1 in the West. You got 7 questions right. Let's go. Great
Wait,
job.
how did I get 7 right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. You may have gotten 6. I may have lost track. The viewers will be able to see.
There were 8 questions that dropped to 7, and I missed 4 of them.
Either way, you lost the game, but that's all right. That's okay. Should have put a Coor on that. A single Coor instead of a Coors. That being said, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you all this morning. Cooper, any final thoughts for this week?
No, I don't think so. Candidly, the team has taken the back burner this weekend. No, I will not be available next week for Ball and Chain. But yeah, no thoughts.
No thoughts at all.
I got nothing.
I've got some thoughts. Congratulations, Cooper. It'll be fantastic. We're cutting this. All right.
Give your thoughts, then I give my thoughts.
Oh, okay. Where do I start from?
I got no thoughts. Regret nothing.
I'm on the naughty list and I regret nothing.